Ethio-Jazz የተባለውን የሙዚቃ ስልት በመፍጠር የኢትዮጵያን የጃዝ ሙዚቃ እድገት ከፍተኛ ደረጃ ላይ አድርሷል። ስመጥርና አንጋፋ ሙዚቀኛና የሙዚቃ አቀናባሪ በመሆኑም ይወደሳል። በአሁኑ ጊዜ ላሉት የጃዝ አፍቃሪያን መበራከት መሰረት የጣለ እጅጉን የተከበረ የኪነ ጥበብ ሰው እንደሆነ ይነገርለታል። ዶክተር አርቲስት ሙላቱ አስታጥቄ ከ40 ዓመታት በላይ በሙዚቃው ዓለም የቆየው አርቲስቱ በእነዚህ ዓመታት ራሱንም ሆነ ሀገሩን የሚያስጠሩ በርካታ ሥራዎችን ያበረከተ ታላቅ የሀገራችን የጥበብ ሰው ነው። በክቡር ዶክተር አርቲስት ሙላቱ አስታጥቄ የተፈጠረው ኢትዮ-ጃዝ ዛሬ በዓለማችን እንደ አንድ የሙዚቃ ስልት ተቀባይነት አግኝቷል። የኢትዮ-ጃዝ ማዕከላዊ ሐሳብም የጃዝ ሙዚቃን ባህሪያትን ከአገር በቀል የኢትዮጵያ ሙዚቃ መሳሪያዎች ጋር ማንነታቸውን ሳይለቁ ማዋሃድ ነው። አርቲስት ሙላቱ አስታጥቄ እንዲህ አይነቱን የሙዚቃ ዘይቤና ስያሜ ለዓለም ካስተዋወቀበት ጀምሮ ከ4 አስርት ዓመታት በላይ አፍሪካ ለዓለም የሙዚቃ ባህል ያበረከተችውን አስተዋጽኦ ያለመሰልቸት ሲያስረዳና በሥራዎቹም ሲያስተዋውቅ ኖሯል። አሁን ከሰሞኑ ደግሞ በአሜሪካ ኤምባሲ ስፖንሰር አድራጊነት ዓለም አቀፉን የጃዝ ቀንን ለመዘከር ሲባል ጊዮን ሆቴል በሚገኘው በአፍሪካ ጃዝ ቪሌጅ በተዘጋጀው የጃዝ ትርኢት ላይ የኢትዮ-ጃዝ ሙዚቃ ንጉሥ ዶክተር ሙላቱ አስታጥቄ የጃዝ ሙዚቃ አፍቃሪያንን አጀብ ያሰኘ የሙዚቃ ኮንሰርት ዝግጅቱን አቅርቧል። DireTube ሚዲያም ይህንኑ ዝግጅት በስፍራው ተገኝቶ ተከታትሎታልና ትታደሙ ዘንድ በአክብሮት ይጋብዛል።
Good evening. I really can't see you. So I guess I'm just going to have to talk as if I'm talking to the dark here, which is fantastic. Then I don't have to see your criticisms and all that stuff. This is great. So I can't tell you how happy I am to be here today. I can't tell you how happy I am to be here, to see you too, to be here. It's been such an incredible honor to be asked to speak about jazz and, more importantly, Mulatu Astatke, the father of Ethiopian jazz. In a place where he played music when he was young. When he was very, very young, he played here on the stage in this room when the emperor was sitting. Well, he didn't play when the emperor was here, but the emperor was also in this room. So this is really a historic place, and I'm so happy to talk about history here. Jazz, and Ethio-Jazz in particular right now. And then I'll go into jazz. 50 years of hard work, 50 years of dedication, 50 years of professionalism, 50 years of passion, 50 years of humility, 50 years of love. That's Ethio-Jazz, and that's jazz in general. To be good, to be where Mulatu is today, it takes that kind of dedication. I know Mulatu, I've known him for many years. We've worked together, and I don't have any words to express, but just let you know that I love him for being so good. And he's really, yeah. And so here is, now that I told you the recipes of jazz, really, I mean, you have to work. In order to be good, you have to play and play and play and practice and practice and practice. And also continuously give another burst to yourself. Be born again and again and again and again and learn something new. And that's what Mulatu has been done for the last 50 years. And that's why he is where he is today. So what's jazz? It's a musical art. And how? It's a musical art because, think about an artist and his canvas and all the different kinds of paint colors spread all over his table. And as he's putting those paints together and creating something new, well, that's jazz. Jazz is where you bring in all kinds of different professional musicians who have spent many years learning their kind of instrument. And then when they come together, they feed on one another because they're so good at it. And what they produce there is what makes jazz. And jazz is an American baby. Jazz was born in America. Although jazz traces its root to Africa, because it was a music created by African Americans. And this is how. The African Americans, at the end of the 1800 or the beginning of the 1900 or so, there was this law called the Jim Crow, which is, I actually don't like to talk about bad history, because I don't think we go anywhere with bad history. I like to talk about the future and where do we go from here to the future, to the next generation, and to the next place. But, this is a history we can't jump when we talk about jazz, because jazz was created when that happened. The blues and all that music, that wonderful music that the African Americans were playing when they were segregated, suddenly Jim Crow came, and even those people who are mixed was black and white, when there was like a drop of white in them, they were considered black. Suddenly they lost their place. And these people were so good with classical music because they learned all the European music. And when you combine blues with this European music of classical music, two incredible music, that marriage is what created jazz. And obviously, the African Americans came from Africa, therefore jazz came from Africa. So this is its birthplace. So now let me tell you about this Darashe music, which Mulatu Astatke was influenced. I mean, the sketches, Ethiopian sketch, the Ethiopian sketches of Ethiopia, was influenced by. And the Darashe, they have this diminishing scale, where they have. There's two types of diminishing scale, and one is whole half whole and half whole half. So they took so they were doing the second part, which is half whole half, and that's where Mulatu traces that music. And so he's taken this to another level, to where he's been talking about it all over the world, giving a lecture about this, and really adding to the seasoning of Ethio-Jazz. So let me say a couple of things about Mulatu. He was he was the first African student in 1958 at Berklee School of Music, the first African student. He played with Duke Ellington in Addis Ababa at Hilton Hotel. Duke Ellington is the biggest figure in jazz, and he played with him. Duke Ellington actually played Mulatu's composition, Mulatu's music. It was called Dawal, and so Mulatu has been, going all over the world playing his music with all kinds of different musicians, including rappers, rock music, and all kinds of things. He just opens up to anything that's music and allows himself to experiment, and to also lets other musicians play his music, sample them, like rappers sampling his music, and so on and so forth. For instance, Arat Kilo. There's a band called Arat Kilo, which I just learned, in Paris, a French band, and they do Ethio-Jazz, and he played with them at the National Museum in Paris. And there's a Black Jews in Australia who also do Ethio-Jazz, and he played with them there too. And then he also has his band. It's called Step Ahead. And also he's done film scores. And so he... Mulatu has been, The Broken Flower, that incredible film where they used his music throughout the most part of the film. But there's something new that's coming. There's something incredibly profound that's happening in New York now. 50 years of Mulatu's contribution to jazz and his life in jazz will be at the New York Central Park. He will be at the Central Park playing at Charlie Parker's jazz event or jazz festival. So that's really major. That's major to Ethiopia. That's major to all of us, to every one of us who are here. Way to go, Mulatu. And the legacy is of Mulatu Astatke is really incredible. So he has been promoting what he has been doing. His 50 years of legacy is really. He's currently at MIT in Boston. There is a whole research going on about the Azmari music, taking the Azmari music to the 21st century. And in other words, also transforming the krar so it can become. It can be as good or even better than the guitar. So there's a whole bunch of experimental work that's happening, scientific work that's happening in order to push for the Ethiopian music or musical instrument that's been stagnant for a long time. And at Harvard University, he was also a fellowship there, doing again a number of different research on Ethio-Jazz. And also his other thing, that I think this is the most important part of Mulatu's contribution to Ethiopia, which many of you probably don't know, his involvement with young Ethiopian musicians and the Azmari Beit. I have seen Mulatu, I've known him for many years, I've seen Mulatu playing, working with young Ethiopians in all kinds of, helping them in all kinds of ways possible. Like, for instance, even being their mentor or even helping them go in music universities and so on and so forth. So I think I'm so happy to be here and talk about Mulatu and the jazz that we all love. And thank you very much. And way to go, Mulatu.
Back to the music. I've always wanted to say this. I'm sure some of the bootleg copies of tonight get up onto the internet, but if they do, I just want to say, live from African Village, Mulatu Astatke!
Thank you. Welcome to African Village. Well, we want to start our set by one of my composition, which has been used by a film called The Broken Flowers. There was Sharon Stone and Bill Murray on that film, and that has been all over the world, and it's been liked so much with a lot of people. So we're going to start playing the Karumoso, one of my compositions. But we haven't played with this group a lot before, but we're going to try to make it sound great. And I'd like to thank the group here for joining me to this composition. Thanks so much. Thanks so much. That was a piece called Carmoso from the film Broken Flowers. Now next piece, what's going to be next piece? Okay, Bizikawi Silt. Thank you. Thanks so much. Big hand for the musicians, please. Big hand for the great musicians here. Okay, next piece is one of the pieces I've done a long time ago. I also arranged this piece for Duke Ellington's band, for his big piece band. So now we are going to play this with a smaller group, with Ghion and the rest of the guys. So this is a piece I call Enja. And we're featuring a Russian player, piano player, great here, our guitar player, and everybody in the group, and also Professor Abe. Thank you. Thanks so much. Thanks.